Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Lorelei Shamayo. This is Metaphysical Empowerment and Wellness Events, and we host fairs throughout the Northwest, and so you get a chance to meet us before you see us in person. We interview our practitioners. So I'm here today interviewing Wendy Earthsong. So Wendy, great to have you. Maybe could you share a little bit about yourself, your work, and what you share at our events?
Okay. Well, it's great to be here, Lorelei, and I'm so looking forward to participating in events with you. I am an animal and nature communicator, and why I use that terminology, both the animal and nature, is because some people that are not aware of animal communication or not aware of the greater possibilities with animal communication may think that the only way that they can participate with someone like myself that works with animals and nature is if they have a pet companion. But the reality is that this communication is something that we all do very naturally, that we're doing every day when we walk out into a beautiful day or a wild storm or snow on the ground or whatever it might be. Right at that moment, we are communicating. So it's important for me that people that I work with understand that the richness in this is realizing that the human person, the human species are never alone. We're surrounded by this amazing complement of companions throughout our lives that are both intentional companions, but also the greater world companions.
So what is it like for someone that comes to you for a session that doesn't have a pet? I've seen people that do related work with pets, but I guess maybe share a little of how you work with pets too, and then also, not with pets, because that's a whole new thing.
Yeah, so animal and nature communication is very fascinating, and it's also something that's hard for people to define. I have people talk to me about, is it a psychic ability? Is it telepathic? And I will tell you that my take on this is very simple. We know, and even our modern science will acknowledge, that we're all energy. Everything around us, everything that we interact with is energy, and we are energy. When we do animal communication, nature communication, we are simply meeting the natural world and or our pet companions in that amazing energetic flow that just exists all around us at all times. So the challenge for the human is to get out of the modern construct of doing and open to the idea that this availability of this energy surrounds us. And therefore, all we have to do is be present. So in my interpretation of what I do, I have just honed my skills to literally be able to wade into that stream. And the more of this work that I do, the more I find that I am the one who has to open my door, because the door of connection to animal companions and nature is always open. So how do we do it? We get together and we literally have a conversation. So it's a literal 3-way, 4-way conversation. I work with folks. Let's take an animal companion session, for example. Let's take a horse. People, the other thing that people need to understand, and that is helpful for people to understand, is because we meet in the energy, we don't have to be together with the animal. And the two human beings, myself and the client, don't have to be together either, because all of the work takes place in that other space. So let's say that somebody calls me with the horse that has a painful, they're painful and they're obvious because they're not walking well. When we engage in that conversation, I have a verbal communication, very brief, with the client, with the horse's companion, if you will. I call us the human companions. So I have a verbal conversation with the human companion, which does not go deep, and I don't need a tremendous amount of information, because what I'm doing is at the same time is asking that animal if they're willing to enter into this connection with myself and their human companion. So I have experienced maybe 1% of the time of natural beings as well as our companion beings, where they'll say, not now, I'm busy, or not now, I'm not comfortable with this, but most of the time they are very willing. So we step into this communication, and the first thing we do is feel in. I feel in and allow that being to tell me things about itself. You know, is it happy? What's its energy like? Those kinds of things. I share this information with that human companion, but then we can get down to a literal question and answer. The person will ask the question. Most of the time, the animal companion does not need translation. They've been listening to their humans for years. And so while the person is talking, the animal is responding. And so my special gift in this has been that I can hear them and translate. And my role is faithful translator. So, and where they take us and where that human takes us is really where that particular session is going to go.
Okay, great. Makes much more sense to me now. Like it's you're facilitating a conversation. Yeah.
Exactly. It's a complete conversation. Yeah. And the same thing applies whether it's your favorite tree in your backyard, that glorious granite boulder that you climb in Joshua Tree National Park. Every being on the planet has this ability and willingness to communicate, and they are thrilled to impart and share with us what they know from their millennia of wisdom. And some of the wisdom that comes through this natural world is just boundless, is just phenomenal.
And how did you get started doing this work?
So, you know, I was that kid. I was just that kid that could pick up the wounded animal, that always felt more comfortable in nature than I did anywhere else. When things were troubled or things were stirred up, I went always to the natural world. And I took that for granted. I took that as being, well, everybody must do this. This must be how we all function. And so I've always had that connection that was just a flow for me. And then, of course, you know, I went through my world of work. I went through my world of family and raising children and doing all those things. I always escaped to nature, but that communication and that sharing became more challenged. I had an event that actually occurred around a animal companion that was what I call a soul dog for my daughter. And he became very ill, and he was definitely going to transition. And one of the things that we did to help her and him as they went through this process was reach out to an animal communicator. Through that journey with that animal, I became very connected with this woman who later became my teacher and my mentor. And I did a 1-year intensive study with her to deepen my ability to listen and to translate and to be brave enough to share fully what is being imparted to the human companion, because that sometimes can be very, very strong. And especially our animal companions will give us information that is incredibly dialed in and also often very personal. And so that is a journey to learn how to say to someone, you know, your cat meow is exceptionally worried about this new relationship because she feels this in this environment, and faithfully share, don't interpret. And so the word translation when I do my work is a critical word.
Yeah. Do you occasionally connect with pet companions that have passed for people?
Oh, yes. Yes. In fact, one of the areas that I have specialized in is transition. So, and it was by accident. Let's put it this way. It was by accident on my part, by intention on the animal's part. So I had my first couple of experiences with transition, with people talking to me about wanting to communicate with animals, say that they had when they were children. And it's very intense, and it can be very emotional for the human being. And what I found was I was intimidated in the beginning, and I would say, boy, I don't know that I can handle this. And so in order to show me that I could handle this, over the course of 3 or 4 months, I had 15 different animals come to me with the need to communicate both through their transitional time and or post transition. And that journey, that was like, one of those intense mastery classes that you step into. And it was a gift from the animal world. And at the end of that, what I realized was we as human beings need this work. We as human beings can benefit from the acceptance, and the animals have nothing but beauty to share from that other space. And, there's amazing love and joy that can be experienced and shared when the animal has transitioned. And so often it will be around something that the human being feels guilty about, because we do have choices that we can make, especially with our animal companions. And invariably, the animal's concern is that the human understand the beauty they are in, the love they always will have and currently have, and the fact that there's no need for forgiveness because there was no need for guilt. And it's just a beautiful area to work in.
Yeah. It's lovely. I so hear your love and your care and your compassion and your passion as you share about this.
It's just it's given me a space in my own life that I can always step into. And that's why it's important for me to help people understand that we have this is our gift. And then our job around that gift is to be the best stewards that we possibly can for our companions, but also just for our entire natural world and our planet, to be stewards, because this is a gift beyond measure. A shiny, beautiful object that just awaits realization by us, the human beings, of how incredible it is.
And is it helpful if people bring a photo with them, or?
It can be really helpful for the human client.
Okay.
Bring a photo. The animals will present in an energetic body form in that flow. Mm-hmm. So sometimes very distinct as the being that they are, sometimes very amorphous, a certain color, could be a shine, sometimes it's a size, sometimes it's not. I've had dogs come as ravens. I've had snakes show up and all they give you is scents. Very scent-oriented being. And so you literally can smell the grasses and you can smell the earth that they're moving through. And you can literally do ride-alongs with these incredible beings and find out, what is it like to be with them? What is it like in their world? What is the gift of their mode of travel, of their perspective, of their purview? So, as we deepen this experience for more and more people, the more exciting it becomes, because this is transformation. This is beyond the workaday world.
So how can people find out more about you on the web?
So I'm at wendyearthsong.com, and my email is simply wendy@wendyearthsong.com.
And that's Wendy, Wendy with a Y.
Yes, it is. Yes, it's old spelling, yes.
Great.
And it's Earthsong, just like the planet, and a song, because she does sing to us.
That's great. Thank you so much, Wendy.
Thank you, Lorelei.
And thank you so much for those of you who are watching, listening. You can find us on the web at MetaphysicalEmpowermentEvents.com. We have events in Seattle, Portland, Salem, Eugene, and we may be spreading to more cities like Bend soon. Thanks so much.